Big feelings are so hard. It is confusing and sometimes it's really disruptive. Give yourself grace, parents. Become curious. What if we could understand how our child felt by looking at the color that they chose to wear? Wouldn't that be amazing and helpful? Today's guest decided to combine her child's interests and colors to create a way to help him communicate better after an acquired language loss. It sounds contradictory, huh? Acquired loss? But yes, you will learn her story and how she helped her little one regain a way to communicate better again. Many times, we as parents want to get our kids out of their icky feelings. Come on, feel better. You can do this. But the reality is that we want our children to walk through their feelings and feel their feelings. This is an important part of being able to learn to regulate yourself. We must allow our children to experience their feelings. And today, in this episode, you will hear a story that explains very well why. You will love this episode as our guest tells her story in the sweet, kind sincereness you hear every time she talks. Does your child have a speech-language delay and you really want them to talk? Do difficult behaviors derail home life and you know the frustration is a communication struggle? Does your child see a speech therapist and you wonder, what do they do and how can I help? If these or similar questions are in your mind, this podcast is for you. Hello, my name is Dina Lynn Rosenbusch. I am a speech-language pathologist that has worked with children from birth to 21 for 3 decades. And in my classrooms, I see you wanting to connect with the heart of your child, but their speech and language skills create a barrier. So if you have a kiddo that has difficult behaviors, needs to expand their language or learn to say speech sounds, and maybe even receives speech therapy, stay tuned, because in this podcast, you will learn how to use your daily life as a tool to communication practice and how to do that practice. You will become confident knowing you are making the difference you want to make. And you will hear success stories of parents who have navigated these struggles already. We'll do this all while focusing on building deep, meaningful connection and confidence in your kiddo. So grab a cup of coffee along with a notebook and pen. It's time to speak in the way your child's brain understands. And that is the language of play. Welcome back, listeners. As we get started, I want to acknowledge and thank the oceanic country of Palau. This week, The Language of Play has ranked as the #1 podcast in both categories, parenting and the second one, kids and family. So thank you to my Palau listeners. I am so glad to have you. Hey listeners, did you know that getting unstuck, fighting burnout, and recovering delight is possible even when you have little ones? The Center for Play and Exploration is an organization that supports adults in restoring some of the childlike wonder you had as a kid. As parents, we can get so busy that we get lost in our to-do list and other tasks of life while we try to keep up. We can lose our spontaneity and joy. This is when life gets too hard and we stop being the parents we want to be. What if you could change how you feel just by changing how you think? This is one way you will benefit from contacting the Center for Play and Exploration. Use the link in the show notes and mention The Language of Play for a 20% discount. Imagine a world where your child hears, understands, and does as told, probably even the first time. The foundation of this behavior is listening skills. Listening is not only a science, but it is an art. Ask any teacher. We parents can learn and share this art with our children, building their communication and confidence. But what if your child has a speech sound issue or does not speak much at all? Join us for a free webinar, Beyond Obedience, Unveiling the Power of Listening in Kids. And we'll delve into the link between listening and speech. You will learn about myths and misconceptions, as well as see what might actually be going on when they don't listen. Whether you're a parent, an educator, or a caregiver, this webinar offers valuable insights that can change the dynamic in your home. I have scheduled it twice, 8 hours apart, to accommodate your varying time zones. The date is August 19th, and your link is webinar.thelanguageofplay.com. You can sign up in the show notes for a time that works in your time zone. All right, let's get into today's episode. After their son Miles was diagnosed with epilepsy, Constance decided to step back from her career and focus on her family. Today, please welcome Constance Lewis to the stage on The Language of Play. Constance, I am so excited to have you here. I have read your book. I think it is absolutely delightful. And the book itself is so encouraging and affirming in so many ways. So welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy and excited to be here.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. What prompted you to do this? I mean, we know that your son had epilepsy, but now we're talking about feelings. So make the connection for us.
Yes. Oh, I love that question. So when he was diagnosed with epilepsy at the age of 4, it came out of nowhere. Very healthy 3-year-old, 4-year-old. The seizures started, and it was a long journey to figure out why. So he was a very eloquent, describing, feeling child from the get-go. We worked really hard on that as parents in the beginning. And then once he started having his seizures and his medications changed and he had brain surgery, we realized that he wasn't able to express his feelings as easy as he was before. And he loved dressing up as a superhero. That was his thing. I decided to figure out a way to help him through play and color express his feelings without words. And because he liked dressing up as a superhero, I thought, colors are a great way to express feelings. Children love color and they love play. So how can we combine the two? So we thought about capes, colorful capes, and emotions. And we asked him to match colors of capes with emotions that he felt. And he loved that exercise. And then from there, we decided, and we educated, we taught him, we role played, and we said, if we put this cape on when you're feeling mad, this color cape you chose, or when you're sad, or when you're nervous, or when you need to feel brave, and you come out and you show mom and dad, we're going to know how you're feeling. And that's going to help us understand what to say, what tools to pull from our toolbox as parents to help him walk through this emotion, this feeling, without trying to rush him out of it or say, you're okay, you're fine. So really the concept came from his not being able to express his feelings through words. We decided color and play were amazing for children. And the cape concept came from his love of superheroes.
That is fabulous. I love how you took his interest and you took his knowledge base and you wove it together through a playful method to help him connect. Now, this is great, and I want to get back to what it is that you're doing, but I'm sitting here reeling a little bit with the idea that your child was 4 and doing fine, and seizures just started, and he lost his ability to communicate as well as he was. And I can't help but to think our listeners are sitting here spooling mentally on that. So can you help us understand a little bit about what happened there? Or like, how did you deal with that? I feel like I need a Band-Aid on that in my heart.
I know.
That's so painful.
It was very painful, and it was just heartbreaking as a mother, obviously.
Yes.
Anyone that has children with disability or medical conditions that are consuming of your life. And so out of nowhere, this happened, and it was trips to the hospital and numerous doctor's appointments and numerous different diagnoses from different neurologists that just didn't feel right in my gut. And so I just kept searching for answers. And so what we realized through different brain MRIs is that he had a lesion on his brain and his left temporal lobe that was causing these seizures. And he was born with it. Ultimately, he was in my belly growing and he got this anomaly, and it didn't show up until 4 because his brain had grown to that extent and it started causing seizures in his brain, this electrical activity to be disrupted. And seizures were once every 3 months in the beginning, and then they started coming more often. And then by the end of the 2 year period before his brain surgery, which he had a year ago, almost last month,
Okay.
they were 10 every 10 days. And we were trying different medications, and the medications had severe side effects. And after he would come out of a seizure, he couldn't find the words. And so, yes, it was a very, I was in fight or flight mode. I feel
I
like
bet.
those whole 2 years, I just lived in this moment of not knowing when the next seizure would occur and how do I help my child deal with this situation and this medical diagnosis.
How old is he now?
He's 7.
Did the
Yeah,
surgery work?
it did. It
Oh,
did.
thank God.
I know we're pretty sure. So
Yes.
he had it a year ago, May. And we just met with a neurosurgeon actually yesterday and for his year follow-up. And we're starting to wean off his medication,
Oh,
which is amazing.
congratulations.
Thank you. It's going very slow. And we had a little scare a couple of days ago that we thought we are like, oh, what was that? But I think it was just the weaning process. And so we're moving forward and we're checking everything. And since the day he had surgery, he has not had a seizure.
Oh, wonderful. I am so glad to hear that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for taking us into your backstory a little bit. I know that we really want to dive into the book and dive into what it is that you did in this situation, but I
Mhm.
don't think we could leave something like that hanging.
I agree. I think that the inspiration behind the book and why I did what I did comes from his story and the
Mhm.
heartbreak that I was feeling through his story of I felt so, and I'm a very emotionally aware and accepting person. I've been raised that way, but I also got really uncomfortable with his feelings because he went from being able to describe them to then not, or even just I found myself being very uncomfortable with how his big feelings were, and I feel like a lot of families feel this way too,
Oh, yeah.
and they just want to rush them out of it. How do I make him feel better in this moment? How do I do this? And then I realized after making this book and just with what he went through that I'm not supposed to do that. I'm not supposed to rush him out of the
Mhm.
feeling. I'm supposed and how do I make myself feel less uncomfortable and icky on the inside when he has these emotions?
Yeah, exactly. But the temptation is there, and I think it's really common for parents, all people really. We do that to each other, don't we? We say, "Oh, it'll be okay. Stop complaining. Think
Yeah.
of the bright side. What's
Yeah.
the silver lining? Try to be more positive." I mean, we all do that, and to some degree, there's truth in that.
Right.
But we can't nix the feelings that are present. Yeah, so we need to feel those feelings and then choose a different thought or yeah.
Yes. As a parent, if you and you can do this little experiment at home if you haven't done it before, but if you try to rush your kid through the emotion, it's okay, keep going, keep moving. You're fine, you're fine, you're fine, because you're just uncomfortable with that feeling versus if you say, "Oh, you're feeling very mad right now. I can see that. Or upset. You're sad this happened. I'll sit with you. Let's just feel it. Let's find ways that we can feel it and let it out. Can we stomp it out? Can we do angry chalk? Can we do angry coloring? Can we do a dance party and shake our bodies, And although you're not rushing them through it, you're helping them feel it and finding a healthy outlet for it.
Hmm. That's beautiful. And we know that it doesn't come back and stab you, come out sideways, so to speak, if you
Yeah.
do allow the kids to get through it. And it
Mhm.
works that way for adults too.
Absolutely. I
Mhm.
feel that if we don't get it out or let it out, it's going to come right back and build up and be an even stronger reaction.
Exactly. Yeah, I think so too. And it sounds
Mhm.
like you've got such a good handle on this.
Yes.
Now, you wrote this book having the capes represent the
Mhm.
different feelings. The color of the cape was representing different feelings. And I've got your beautiful book here online, and you've got bright colors in the book. And Miles, the character of the book, is sharing these capes with other children.
Mhm.
Tell us about how you decided to do that.
Oh, that's a really good question. So I thought, how can I incorporate other children into this book? Because I also have two other children, and Miles has other friends acquaintances, friends that I've realized that also have had trouble voicing their feelings
Mm,
in word form. So we have a very good friend, Vivian. She's in the book and she's autistic. And we have another really good friend, baby Jace, who's in the book and he has a seizure disorder as well. And so I thought, what if we bring others in, other characters and other children who are in the same boat and as Miles and also his brother and sister. So we thought let's bring other kids in. Let's have Miles be the teacher of this lesson to these children and he presents each child with a color cape for what feeling that they're feeling in the book and explains to them why he gives them that color and how it's going to help them.
that's so empowering. So good. I think sometimes too, when parents, like when I read books to my kids, books like your book that showed the explanation so plainly, it gave me language to be able to turn around and use similar language or a memory of the conversation in that book
Mhm.
to then resolve and help the normal situations that happen in daily life in the car, in the grocery store, wherever else.
Yes, I agree with you. I think the more practice that we have, the more we can do it in all parts of our life, in every situation. Kids are so amazing that they learn so fast and they latch on to things that feel fun and empowering and playful and colorful. And so, this is a wonderful way for them to help others as well, and not only themselves.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing this. What is your hope that you want for the readers of your book over time?
My main hope for this book is that it helps not only children not feel so alone that they have these big feelings and that there's no way that they're either A, not allowed to feel them or they don't have a way to show others how they're feeling without words. But I also hope it will help parents, caregivers and teachers, anyone that cares for children, a way to understand how kids are feeling without words. So I envision a world where a child walks in wearing a certain color shirt or a cape, for instance, or whatever they love, because not everybody loves capes. My daughter loves tutus, so we have her book about tutus coming up soon. She's like, I'm not wearing capes. I'll wear a tutu. So my vision is that a child will walk into a classroom wearing a color and a teacher, and it may have the word on it or it may not, and the teacher will say, I see that you're feeling very nervous today. And she'll know based on the color. And the child won't necessarily have to say the word. And that's empowering because sometimes they don't know how to say it or they say it through other unhealthy means, outbursts or shutting down. So I feel that if we can just enlighten everyone and give them this tool, it significantly help that communication with parents and children, caregivers and children, teachers and children of knowing how to meet them where they are at that
Mm.
emotion. And because we all know that if you come to school feeling, if you had a really bad morning and you got into a fight with your brother or I don't know, anything happened at home and you have that feeling and you're bringing it into an education or to school or to preschool or just throughout your day, you're not able to learn or to feel relaxed in that learning environment if you have this big emotion hanging over your head. So, if we can acknowledge that with these children and give them a tool to walk through it, then they're able to open their mind and learn and play and have fun because we've dealt with that initial emotion.
I love that. So when you think about emotions and our kids coming to school this way, I also think it changes. You know, like if we acknowledge how the child is feeling,
Yes.
and then they eventually do get the language,
Yes.
and then they eventually can label it for themselves. But in that interim, as they're learning, I think when we say the emotion and help our children through it, it bypasses. It's like it expresses, kind of like at the beginning of this episode where you're talking about stomping and getting it out. We give a vehicle for our children to be able to get through it, and then they can go on.
Yes, exactly. And I know sometimes being a parent is hard, not just sometimes it is. Being a
Right.
teacher is hard,
Yes.
very hard. I couldn't do it. I just love our teachers. And so I always want to make it easier on parents and teachers. So I've reached out to numerous teachers and parents and thought, hey, what about this? Would this make you have more work or would it help you? And many of them said this would be very helpful because then I would know what is going on as they walk in the door and I could give them the toolbox and then we could just keep going on with our day instead of having these multiple outbursts throughout the day that I'm not understanding why they're having these feelings. And so I think that that's where I'm coming from and helping parents and teachers, but also really helping our children.
Hmm. That's a great mission. So do you do this in addition to the book, or is the book the whole thing? Like, do you have a business around this too?
Oh my goodness, I do not. I'm a women's health nurse practitioner, neonatal intensive care nurse, turned at home fertility coach, sleep coach, and postpartum coach. And along the lines of this, in the postpartum period of helping mothers, in the postpartum period, I brought along these kind of parent coaching side tips into this. So I'm not a certified parent coach or teacher or anything like that. I just use my son's experience and my experience as a NICU nurse, a pediatric nurse, a women's health nurse practitioner in it with the thought of how children learn, how they love. And just working in pediatrics, also, children are afraid of the medical system as well sometimes. And how do we ease that? And my husband, who co-wrote the book, is a pediatric dentist as well. And so he always
Ah,
sees kids coming in with fear of the dentist and medical. And so we look back at to how do we get these children to feel more comfortable in this uncomfortable space? And a lot of times it is through color and it's always through play.
mhm.
And so even though I don't have the typical experience of an educator or a language therapist or whatever, I have that life and the somewhat of a medical background from him and me that we use to format the idea of color with emotion and play.
That doesn't sound like somewhat of a medical background. That sounds like a pretty solid medical background to me.
Yes. Yes.
Well, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for bringing your book to my awareness so that we can talk about it. Thank you for the work you do in the world and how you are sharing, because I can easily see that this will go forward and help many, many families.
Yes.
If you
Thank
were
you.
to leave one idea, this is just something I often ask my guests
Mhm.
at the end of an episode. There's so many things we've talked about that are important.
Mhm.
But if you were to
Yeah.
pick one thing to say to parents, what would be your one final tip?
I believe my one final tip would be if you can give yourself grace in the moments that feel overwhelming with your child's big emotions and ground yourself in that moment and tap into their feeling versus pushing it away and trying to get out of that moment as fast as you can because it's uncomfortable.
Mhm.
If you could envision a color around your child of how they might be feeling and tap into that I feel would help you bring that connection closer with your little
Mhm.
one and help your day move so much slower. So I feel that my one tip would be is be curious. Always be curious as to why your child is having this reaction or emotion. Instead of taking it personally or thinking they're being defiant or manipulative, just be curious. Like, I wonder why they're doing this, why they're saying this, why they're having the reaction, why are they throwing things, why are they yelling, why are they spitting food on the floor? Whatever it is that we deal with parents, come from a curious side, and that alone will just change that one thought in your brain. And that alone, I think, will help you move mountains as being a parent.
I knew we were aligned.
I agree. I
That's
agree.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. That's
Yes.
wonderful. And
Yes.
thank you for being here today on The Language of Play. You're a delight, and best wishes on your book. I'm so glad it's launched. And listeners, if you would like to buy this book, you will find the link in the show notes. You can go to Amazon or her website, all of which you will find in the show notes.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It was wonderful.
Thank you to the Center for Play and Exploration for sponsoring this episode of The Language of Play. Hey parents, I hope you found this episode helpful. If so, would you please take 30 seconds and share it with a friend who also lives or works with children? I would really appreciate it if you would leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcasts. I read every review, and it lights me up to know that this show is making a difference. Then come join my Facebook community, where you'll meet other parents who are dedicated to helping their children grow too. You'll find the link in the show notes. Thank you for joining me. Now it's time to go. Let's pop our kiddos in the strollers and go look around outdoors and see what we have to talk about.